multinational criminal cabal. It's a crime family. And we don't need them at all. We just don't. We don't need these people. All they do is manufacture war. And like I said, you know, if we've got a legal system that is there to prevent the causation of harm, and all government does is cause harm, well, why don't we ever call them out on it? Why don't we ever question their legislation? You know, and question their validity to even put this legislation on us. And I always use Israel and Palestine as the key for to demonstrate that there is no law. And like with that issue, it doesn't matter whether you support the Israeli side or the Palestinian side. What is the question here is law real? The law is stuff they write on paper. Well, the Geneva Convention is a piece of paper that says collective punishment is real. The fact that Gaza Strip exists, that's collective punishment. And that is supported by thousands of politicians all around the world who are all war criminals under their own law, regardless of which side you support. That's a breach of law. So what makes any of their law valid? How can you come and inflict your law on me when you're a war criminal under your own law? So let's discuss your validity to even sit in that chair to discuss whether you can inflict your legislation on me because your legislation is causing harm. Who the fuck do you think you are? It's as simple as that, sorry. But who do you think you are, you people? We never ask that question. You know, if law is real, then it applies to everybody. And if it doesn't apply to everybody, then there is no law. And we need to revert to natural law. And natural law says that people will face the consequences of their actions. And the consequences of your actions are that we are all really angry. And we're going to hold you accountable for your actions. And we need to say that. We need to call that out, folks. We really do. Now, one of the things that I've said ever since starting this radio show is that the biggest asset you've got is the people around you. And the people around you are your greatest asset. Our communities are our greatest asset. And if we stand up and call this out, we could change the world in a day. We really could. You know, we've got all the infrastructure we need to run all of our countries perfectly. We don't need government to run them. All government does is sit at the top, and it's racketeering. So you've got your transport system, your food system, your agricultural system, your this system, your that system. We're going to sit here and say, all you guys are going to do things our way, and if you don't, we're going to put you in a cage. That's all it is. You're going to do it our way, and you're going to give us a cut of everything you do. If you don't do it our way, we're going to get these guys to come and beat you up and put you in a cage. And that's all police does. It's terrorism. They'll kill you to keep you safe. They will. They'll push it that far. I mean, people may say, well, that's ridiculous. A police officer would never kill you because you're not wearing a seatbelt, but they will. You know, if you come up to them and they say, well, no, I just don't want to wear it, they'll pull you out of the car. They'll drag you. They'll fine you. They'll arrest you. They'll take you to jail. If you don't go along with them, they'll take it to the point that they will kill you. And really, they pulled you over to keep you safe because you're not wearing a seatbelt. What's that all about? How does that work? They'll kill you to keep you safe. You know, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and they're not serving society at all. But again, you know, when we... It's true. Well, you know, it's true. They don't really do the right thing, do they? But, you know, that's also the problem, because they're facing the same threat that we do, that we're facing. And by being confrontational with them all the time, we're reinforcing this attitude that the government tells them that the public are their enemies, you've got to be careful all the time. That's why everyone gets shot by the police all the time, because they've got the police so paranoid and scared of the public. And they think if some guy just, you know, puts his hand up too quickly, he must be pulling a gun out of his sleeve or something. So they just shoot him on the spot as soon as he moves too quickly. Guy goes for his license, they'd shoot him because he reached inside his coat after they asked him to get his license out. You know, one guy pulled his hand into his pocket the other day and got shot by the cops because he put his hand in his pocket. Just a guy walking down the street. I mean, ridiculous stuff like this because of our attitude towards these guys. So we've got to start waking these people up as well, because we need these people to do their jobs. Because they're not doing their jobs. They're not preventing the causation of harm. They're actually engaged in terrorism to support a government agenda, and half of them don't even know they're doing it. You know, a lot of people who join the police force because they think there's a lot of crime on the streets and you need more police. You know, there's only a lot of crime on the streets because all the laws they create, because every time you create a law, you create crime. That's the way it works. That's how you build a police state. If you want a police state, you just make lots and lots of laws. Oh my God, look at all the crime. You made it illegal to walk on the grass, you made it illegal to walk your dog on the beach, you made it illegal to do this on a Sunday and that on a Wednesday, and all this stuff, which is just normal everyday activity. And then you come out and say, oh my God, look at the crime figures for last year. We need more police. Everyone's going, where's all the crime? I'm not seeing it, but wow, look at the figures in the newspaper. More laws, more police, more crime. That's the way it works. With Obamacare, 80,000 new laws with Obamacare, that's 80,000 new crimes. Easy, that's how you get a police state, that's how they're done. We don't need them, folks. But we've got to reach the police. We've got to find a way of reaching these people and letting them know the danger that they're under as well. That's if any of them are human. And we've got to not be scared of sticking our heads up as well. I mean, unfortunately, that's the mentality in people. That's the society we're dealing with. And anybody who does stick their head up gets just mowed down. And that's what they're doing with this whole social crediting system and Internet of Things as well. Because, you know, when you've got an Internet of Things and everything's digital, everything's got an IP chip, and all the cash is digital, you walk into a supermarket, you pick stuff up and you walk out. It doesn't matter how much money you've got in your bank if you're blacklisted. This is where cryptocurrencies fall down as well. It's something that the crypto crew didn't see when I was speaking to them in Acapulco. They have complete tunnel vision of what they're doing. And a lot of the crypto stuff, it's a great idea under the current fiat system. It's a great way to free ourselves from the government. But when they're bringing in the IoT over the top and social crediting over the top, it doesn't matter how much money you got in the bank. You know, if they limited your purchasing power because of your political viewpoint, then you can have $1 billion in the bank. Doesn't matter if you can't spend it anywhere. And money's fiction anyway, it only works for them. There's only ever in place to put us in a state of scarcity, you know. We're not really looking at things. I have no idea where I was going with this slideshow, so I'm just going through changing the pictures for you guys. So we don't ever look at things, you know. We're always waiting for someone else to come along with the fix, and we've got so much stuff in our head that we don't really know what's going on at all. And that's one of the problems as well, you know. Like I said, this is the big issue. But life is wisdom's dead. And we need to start standing up and calling things out and everything that we do, asking why we have to do any of this stuff and realising that what we're dealing with here is people. You know, just people. Like I say on the radio show, it's our obedience to authority, our compliance to authority, which is just terrorism. A whole lot of it is terrorism. That's what they used to do all this to us. It's just terrorism. And it's our compliance with this that causes it all. These people don't have any power over us, you know. Inside us is something incredible. You know, it really is. I mean, some of the research I've been doing lately, like I said, about how that changed history and what we're really capable of is absolutely incredible. You know, the world only exists the way it does now because we allow it to be that way. It's like a collective projection of what we think the world should be. But there's a whole other world that exists, you know, that could be here. We can change it into that any time we want to. As soon as we put down our respect for authority and unite with the people around us. Like I said, you know, your neighbours, the people around you are your biggest asset. You know, but they're all scared because they're scared of you, they're scared of their government, they're scared of everything. People can see the system that's coming, but they're too scared to stand up and do anything about it. They can't see what's within them. It's been so lost and so cowed and so squashed. You know, but like I said, with great crisis comes great opportunity, and we're at a real turning point here. You know, everything's falling away, everything's been laid bare. The whole system is laid bare. We know all the governments are working together now, they're all colluding. That's why they've ramped this system up so much, and so many people out there now can see it. Well, they know something's wrong anyway. You know, and that's why they're ramping it up more and more. And that's why they're rolling out this 5G so quickly, because they're scared. They're scared people are waking up. That's why they're spraying so much as well, because they're scared people are waking up. They really need to roll this out as quickly as they can. And they've given us all the tools we need legally to call them out completely, with everything that Raphael showed you, with everything that Jack said, with everything, the fact that they don't obey their own laws. None of it is. Even Tom Wheeler, the head of the FCC, he went out there and made that public speech and said, we won't wait for the standards. Well, thank you very much for making that legal distinction, Mr. Wheeler. You know, start taking action against these people. And I don't live in this country, but he does, and you guys do. Start mailing this guy, start sending him liability notices, things like the Empower movement, what they're doing. That works as well. They stopped smart meters in Hawaii, did a great job there. And they've got a huge movement happening in New Mexico as well. New England, New Mexico, I travel too much. So yeah, they've got a great movement happening down there as well. So get involved and get motivated and get involved with the people around you, the people in your community. Because 5G affects everybody and it's a health issue. So people can, you know, identify with that because it's a health issue. and the beekeepers and all these sorts of people, they can identify with it as well, because it's a real issue for them. It's a real issue for everybody. You know, we've got nasty people doing nasty things. We really have. And we've got to call our governments out and realise we don't need them. You know, there's no reason for you to do any of this stuff that you do. I mean, I'm 60 years old now, and I've never paid taxes. I've never filled out an electoral form. I've never voted. I've never participated in the system at all. I just don't have anything to do. I've got 3 documents. I've got a driver's licence, I've got a passport, and I've got a registration for my car, and that's it. I have no mortgage, I have no debt, I have no loans, I have nothing. I have no electricity bills, I have none of that stuff, because I've lived outside the system my whole life. I've just never participated. We don't need them. You know, everybody can do it. And I speak out against them all the time. If I go to court, I walk out of the court. I just treat them like people all the time. I don't treat them like their office, like the fancy dress that they're wearing. They're just people in fancy dress. That's all they are. You know? And you're you. You know, you're you. I love having little conversations with them sometimes, if you can do it with enough people around, you know. But never take a cop on the side of the road by yourself. When there's people around, you can really have fun with these guys if you start talking to them literally and answering their questions literally and stuff, you know. Because you're speaking English and they're speaking legalese. But that's how they trick you. You probably all know how the legalese works and all this stuff, a person and all these sorts of things, the word understand, all these sorts of things, how it all works. But simple questions like, you know, what's your name? They'll say, my name's Man. You know, I base that on peer-reviewed anthropological information from the Anthropological Society. If you have a problem with it, take it up with an anthropologist, you know. Stuff like that, you know. What is the name that you ask for? Are you asking for my name, or are you asking for the person created by the agreement entered into between my parents and the government, which is the name the government has for me? It isn't my name. If you're asking me to claim that name as mine, you're asking me to commit fraud. Isn't that entrapment? You say that to a police officer when he asks you, you know, he kind of steps back a little bit. You realise you can think a little bit. You know, I don't know whether it would work with the cops on the side of the road here. I mean, I wouldn't even do that with a cop on the side of the road. But if you can do that in front of a few people, it makes them think a little bit. It makes them question you a little bit. It makes them talk to you a little bit. And always record your conversations with them as well. All these sorts of things. You know, we've got to try to get these people back onto our side a little bit. You know? Ultimately, we created a police force to protect us. And they're turned into thugs for government and corporations, and we need them back on our side. They're really one of the biggest obstacles we face as a police force. Yep. Now, we can talk about, you know, political corruption, we can talk about the fact that all the governments work together, but we've got these people on the street, which is it's like a brick wall of stupidity that exists between us and the workings behind it. Even if we try to get to politicians and try legal remedies, we've got to get through these guys to do it. You try to file charges against anything, even the stuff that you want to do, all these crimes that you're outlining and stuff, where are you going to go and lodge it? You've got to go to the lodge of the police officer and report the crime, and they just won't listen to you. So we've got to find a way of breaking the ice with these people if we're going to go down that pathway at all. And if we're not going to go down that pathway, and you know, we won't get a remedy there anyway eventually. It'll take too long, we don't have time to do it. If we're not going to go down that pathway, then the only other way is for us to rediscover ourselves and step back into ourselves and start acting like real people again and realise that's what we're dealing with, just people. They've got no right to do any of this stuff. And a lot of the chemtrail planes and stuff, I don't even think all of them are jets. I think a lot of them are drones. I mean, I can't prove that, but I think a lot of them are drones. I wouldn't be surprised if NASA is heavily involved in the spraying as well. I certainly don't think they're sending tin cans up to the moon. I really don't think they're doing that. But I think that a lot of them are drones. But we can't keep doing this, folks. No more of this, you know, no more of this. Because this is what's happening while we're doing it. You know, this is just marching out across the world. This whole smart grid is marching out. And that's what they're bringing online in all of our countries. They're hooking us up to this grid, folks. And this is what we're taught to do. And they know about it. But that is a loaded term. Because what is resistance? Resistance creates the impression that this inevitable beast is coming and you must resist as long as you can. It's a loaded term. What about that? Response. We need to respond because we're under attack. There's a war going on. World War III started years ago. World War III is a war that the governments are waging against the people. And this is one of the tools they're using to do it. And we're not fighting back because we're not identifying the fact that this is a war. It's a soft war. That document that got released, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars, whatever it was. Well, that's what's going on, folks. So no more of this, no more of it, no more of this, no more of this, no more of this, no more of this. No more of this, folks. No more of this. Start speaking out. Everyone's got to start speaking out. You know, it seems like, you know, it's a little person against the storm. You know, it seems really, really hard to get out there and there's this big leviathan. But it's not. It's just this big massive confusion. And we keep looking for ways through the confusion, using their confusion to do it. You know, but they created the whole legal system to be that way, to be what it is. They created the legal system really. We think it's there to provide us with remedy and all this sort of stuff, and that sounds really good. That sounds like what law is for. But really the legal system is there to protect them. Everything that's wrong with the world today is wrong with the world because it's legislated to be that way. Even the little things that go wrong that cause us to get irritable with each other and all this stuff, these little irritations we have in our society because things don't run properly, it's all legislated to be that way. And when you try to find a way through it, it's legislated to tie you up in red tape and all this stuff so you can file some charge against some politician and you might end up going to trial 10 years from now. You know, you won't get any remedy then. It'll be a date that's put off for another 10 years. You know, and by the time that happens, everybody's dead, you know. It's like when people try to claim insurance from these corporations that have come and trash their environment. They tie them up and tie them up and tie them up until they're 75 years old when it happened to them when it was 20. You know, they give them a little payout just before they die and they get nothing. You know, that's what it's all about. So they just tie us up in all this stuff. So realise that you're just dealing with people and things become a lot clearer. You know, whenever I'm dealing with anybody of authority, I never look at the uniform, I never call them by the title they want me to call them by. I ask them what their name is, and I call them by their first name. Everybody, even when I walk into a court, I call the judge by his first name. I don't call him Your Honour, any of that stuff. I've gone into court, they said, you're going to represent yourself? I said, no, I am myself. But I have to represent myself. Where are we going with this? I'm going to turn you a cardboard cave myself when we go there. What's the judge's name? But, oh, Your Honour, you know, the Honourable Peter Smith. And I Peter, okay, no worries. I'll walk in there. Hey, Peter, I'm here regarding that matter. You know, and I'll have a chat with him. If the prosecutor pops up, I'll say, excuse me, I don't know you, I don't recognise you, I'm talking to Peter. Stop interrupting. And we have a conversation and I walk out of the court. Now, it works really well. If you realise that you're a living man, you're living people, no one has authority over you. You don't have to do any of this stuff. And if you're religious, I don't know how many of you are. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But even when you look at the Bible, if you look at the trial of Christ, even when he said to him, because he showed you right there, they said to him, are you the King of the Jews? And he said, do you say I am? He never answered. He never gave his name. He never did it. That's why Herod washed his hands and let the people do it. Because he wasn't going to step into that as well as he knew how it works. They gave you a clue there. There's all these clues through all this stuff of how it works. The Wizard of Oz, the straw man. It's all there. The Wizard of Oz tells you how the whole system works. You ever looked at that movie through those eyes? It tells you how the whole system works right there. But this is the world that we've got. And we don't want that world, folks. There's a much better world we could have if we would simply pay attention to the world we've got and start dealing with it. It's a whole, you know, nothing about this system makes sense. Even civilization doesn't make sense. You know, how did we ever construct this to serve us? Because it doesn't serve us. You know, it just serves the people. I mean, it serves the rulers, and we've got to do something for these guys because that's what it's all about. These guys, the future. And it's up to us because the kids that are coming through, like, it's wonderful to see this 12-year-old girl saying what she was saying. This is incredible. To see that in the youth. I almost came to tears through that little speech. But that's what we need. We need the youth to stand up because the kids that are starting school now, when they get to be 12, they're going to have no reference point for what it's like to be free at all. They're going to have no reference point for what it's even like to be human. They'll be getting iPads and little things to click on as soon as they're in the cot. You have parents giving kids an iPhone to play with in the stroller while they're in the supermarket just to keep the child happy. And it's dopamine addiction, instant dopamine addiction, instant gratification, disconnects you from everything. In the Philippines, you know, where they've got these greater family units and all these kids there's never problems with families and stuff. They've noticed problems starting to develop now in these societies with the kids, because the kids are getting mobile phones and they're texting each other rather than talking to each other. So they're not getting the real communication, so they're developing problems with each other. Because 90% of communication is non-verbal, and when it's not even verbal, it's just text, you don't even get the tone of voice. You don't even get the inflections of emotion in the voice, and let alone the body language, or the look in the eye, or the look on the face, and all the other stuff that goes with communication. All you get is the words that you take at face value, and everybody takes it all too seriously. So suddenly all these kids start hating each other, and they've taken themselves way too seriously, and you've got these societies starting to break down, simply because of this texting culture. You've got to take all this stuff away from the kids, because like I said, you're going to have no reference point, folks. This slide always seems to find its way in there. I don't know why, but it does. I don't know how much time I've got. It's true. How much time have I got? Because I only really prepared a half hour. I can go longer. How much? Where's Nelson?
It was set till the half hour.
We wanted to have a talk.
I think you said at 3:30.
What's the time now?
3:31.
I can go a little bit more. Who wants to, let's do some Q&A. Who wants to ask a few questions? Anyone got some questions? There's one.
You've been around the world, we traveled around the world. Have you found anybody that was hateful or wanted to be in war?
I don't find anybody who's hateful. Zero. I don't find anybody when I